Hello! Today, Access Overseas Careers is here with the FAQs of the Outcomes-Based Assessment, that is the OBA program for nurses.
What is outcome-based assessment in Australia?
Outcomes-based assessment, that the OBA program, is a two-stage assessment process in which the stage 2 is assessed in the form of an objective structured clinical examination, which is OSCE. It is a behavioral evaluation of IQ/NM's knowledge, skills and competence as an equivalence of a graduate level Australian nurse or midwife.
How do you process OBA?
The OBA is a two-stage assessment process, a multiple question exam MCQ and an objective structured clinical exam. IQ/NMs must pass the first stage before moving to the next stage. Stage 1 is a cognitive assessment, which is a computer-based MCQ exam. IQ/NMs must pass the exam to move to the part 2 of the OBA.
How much does OBA cost in Australia?
The OBA program costs $288 Australian plus an additional international scheduling fee of $150 A clinical exam to assess whether candidates demonstrate the knowledge, skills and competence of a graduate level nurse or midwife from an Australian NMBA approved program of study.
What is OBA nursing?
An outcomes-based assessment pathway has been introduced to replace the current bridging program for nurses who do not possess substantially equivalent qualifications. The OBA includes both cognitive and behavioral components. Cognitive assessment will be computer-based multiple choice questionnaire.
What is OBA or outcome assessment?
Outcomes-based assessment is the deliberate collection of evidence of student learning based on results. It gives a mark relative to the results of the criterion referenced rather than other students.
Why is APRA taking so long?
Incomplete applications are the main reason for delayed assessment. You may need to provide certified copies of supporting documents to meet the registration requirements of your profession's national board.
How much is the OSCE exam in Australia?
The OSCE registration fee for each examination sitting is $4,000 Australian. This fee must be paid to APRA via the instructions on your IQ/NM dashboard before you can book your OSCE examination date.
Is Australia open for nurses 2021?
From January 2020, overseas nurses who wish to come to Australia as a nurse in 2021 and whose qualifications are assessed as relevant but not substantially equivalent are going to be required to travel through an outcome-based assessment. The cognitive assessment may be computer-based multiple choice exam.
What is the highest paid nurse in Australia?
The highest paid nurses in Australia are, first one, Certified Registered Nurse, the anesthetist. The average salary of the certified registered nurse is approximately between $105K to $130K per annum. The role are, these nurses work alongside dentists and surgeons and are responsible for preparing the patient and mixing and administering anesthesia.
Can I work as a nurse in Australia without IELTS?
The NMBA requirement for both enrolled and registered nurse registration is 7 band in IELTS or OET B in all modules. In order to become a registered nurse in Australia, you then have to prove your English language score to 7 band all modules or OET B for the modules.
Are nurses in high demand in Australia?
The workforce planning projections in this publication show that in the medium to long term, Australia's demand for nurses will significantly exceed supply, with a projected shortfall of approximately 85,000 nurses by 2025 or 123 nurses by 2030 under current settings.
Which country pays nurses most?
The country which pays the nurses the most is Luxembourg. It pays $60,000 to $125,000. Currently, topping the list as the highest paid country in the world for nurses, this tiny country is Western Europe pays the nurses very well.
Can registered nurse get PR in Australia?
Australia offers a range of temporary and permanent visa options for skilled nurses who have local or international qualifications, language skills, and relevant work experience. Registered nurses also belong to the Priority Migration Skilled Occupation list.
How much does a nurse earn an hour in Australia?
Find out what the average registered nurse salary is. Like, the average registered nurse salary in Australia is $79,500 per year or $40.77 per hour. Entry-level positions start at $76,879 per year, while most experienced workers make up to $97,500 per year.
What visa do I need to work as a nurse in Australia?
Application pathways for nurses. Many nurses apply through the Skilled Independent Subclass 189 visa. This is where you are not sponsored by a state or a territory, government or a relative and requires at least 60 points in the Skilled Migration Point Test for an invitation.
Which nursing is best in Australia?
The best nursing program in Australia is the rankings. The University of Technology, Sydney, School of Nursing and the Midwifery ranks at number 1 for top Australian nursing schools according to QS Top Universities Rankings 2020. The school is also ranked 7th globally according to QS Top Universities Ranking 2020.
What is the highest paid nurse?
The highest paid nurses are like Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist. The Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist consistently ranks as the highest paid nursing career. That is because nursing anesthetists are advanced and highly skilled registered nurses who work closely with medical staff during medical procedures that requires anesthesia.
How do I get PR in Cookery Australia 2020?
For this, check the occupation list first. Then, study a cookery or carpentry course. Then, work while you study. Apply for the temporary graduate visa for 85 and study commercial cookery and become a chef.
How can I increase my Australian PR points?
The additional ways to gain points is receive a nomination from a state or territory, sit in an English test, professional year, partner skill, obtain Australian work experience, become an accredited translator, STEM qualification, etc.
What is the average Australian salary?
Australia's average full-time salary now is about $90,000. New data has shown the average Aussie salary, but the figures have also shocked, showing that the gender pay gap has widened.
How do I register as a nurse in Australia?
To become a registered nurse in Australia, you need to complete a 3-year Bachelor of Nursing, which is available at the most Australian universities. In order to apply, you have to be over 17 years of age or should have completed your HSC with an appropriate university's admission index.
Is it easy to get a nursing job in Australia?
Fairly easy, as I had to have a letter for an offer of employment as a minimum or a definite job to arrive to in order to complete my Australian nursing registration with the Australian Nursing Registration Board.
How much IELTS score required for Australia for nurses?
To study nursing in Australia, the requirements is like an overall IELTS score of 7 band and no score below 6.5 band in each of the component, or PT score 65 or OET score B. You must have at least 1 year of paid or unpaid experience within the last 5 years.
Can I get PR after doing diploma in Australia?
A large number of international students in Australia aspire to get permanent residency after they have completed their course of study. To do this, you must apply for a visa through the Skilled Set program, which is managed by the Department of Immigration and Border Protection.
What do travelling nurses make an hour?
The average hourly rate for a travel nurse is $36.72. However, recently licensed travel nurses tend to earn a much lower starting salary of $26.23, while their more experienced counterparts earn an average of $45.36.
How much does RN salary increase per year?
Most registered nurses begin their career on a salary between $60,000 to $65,000. The beauty of the Nurse Award 2010 is that your pay will then grow 4 to 5% every year after that, until you have 8 years experience, at which point all nurses at this stage of the career will be on roughly the same amount. So here I am done with the FAQs of OBA for nurses in Australia. Thank you for watching the video. Bye-bye.